Hi everyone and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you might encounter some synchronization issues when you are using your TASCAM Model 12 digital mixer in a DAW controller mode with your DAW itself, and in this case, PreSonus Studio One. But first, let me show you how to add the Model 12 in Studio One as surface control. I do have a video covering how you can actually select and set the DAW controller mode of TASCAM Model 12. I will leave a link in the description. But since version 1.30, they've added Studio One as an option to select as a DAW controller module, I'm going to do another video on how to add it in Studio One. From your main start page, we go into Configure Audio Device. We select Model Mixer. Then we go into External Devices. From here, we click Add. We go into MIDI and then Control. And from the Receive From pull down, we select MIDI In. Now notice there's also Model 12 MIDI. That's the physical MIDI input. We want the virtual MIDI. And for Send To, MIDI Out. Now you do need to select Receive and Send at the same time. This allows some synchronization, especially the transport control and record, mute, and solo buttons to be synchronized. And for device name, I'm just going to click OK and double click again. Now I can actually change it. I'm going to call it M12 DAW Control. Just makes it easier to find out what device it is and click OK. So let's open my test project. I've got 8 inputs. As you can see, my original in the DAW, my faders are different to what the faders are on the mixer. That's only because these faders are not motorized. It has no way of moving these faders to match the faders of the DAW. Same goes with the panning. But as soon as I move the faders, you can see how it finds a position, and now I can track it and move it all the way up or down. Same with the next one. If you haven't watched my previous video, as I explained, that it's probably not a great idea to only use faders just to ride in through the mix. It's always a good idea, and because they're not motorized, the best practice would be is to write the automation in. So as you are mixing, you turn automation on. Let's say track 4. I can now click on this one and I can write it. Now I can write the fader information onto the track. So next time on the next playback, I can read it. That way it doesn't matter where the fader is. This fader in Studio One will follow up the automation that was previously written down. A demonstration of this is in my previous video, link in the description. Unlike the faders that now track and link to the physical faders on the mixer, here is a synchronization issue that you might get confronted with. With the panning, let's say I'm going to choose track 4 to make things easy. I can pan it to the left and to the right, and you can see the panning in Studio One follows exactly what I'm doing. And as my panning goes right into middle and indent, I can feel that click. It also centers right in the DAW as well. But for whatever reason, if I move the panning using my mouse, of course, the pan knob's not going to move because it's not motorized. There's no way of this pan to move. Now they are out of sync. So if I start moving, you can see that it still moves, but now my center in Studio One is way different to my pan knob on the mixer itself. This is indented in the center. It's 50% to the right. Now this is only because the information being sent is not absolute position value, but relative value. Unlike the fader, which gives an absolute position value, the pans don't. Maybe this is something that TASCAM can correct in the future firmware update. But the way about it, let's say if I've got that now, they're out of sync now, is to go to either side of the extreme. Let's say if I go all the way to the left, now it's to the left, and now they're back in sync. And I clicks in the middle, and it's centered again. So let me move it out of the way again. Let's do it on this side. So now they're out of sync, and the only way to get them back into sync is just go to the extreme end, and now they synchronized. It could be annoying, but that is one way of trying to get the panning knob to synchronize back with Studio One. In version 1.3 of the firmware of the TASCAM Model 12, on top of having PreSonus Studio One supported, it also supports REAPER DAW. As you can see on the screen, I have REAPER open. It is version 5.99. I have not yet upgraded to version 6, but the procedure is exactly the same. So I have set my Model 12 in DAW controller mode, selecting REAPER. The way we set it up in REAPER, we go into Options and Preferences. First thing we need to do is we make sure that our device is ASIO, and we have selected Model Mixer ASIO. We enable the inputs 1 and all the way down to 12 if you want to capture all of the inputs, and the outputs from 1 to 10, those are the outputs of the channels. And then MIDI devices, we should see both MIDI in 2 and Model 12 MIDI, and MIDI out 2 and Model 12 MIDI. Make sure it says disabled. I know it's not, you don't have to enable it, because when we set it up as a surface control, it will get enabled. If it's enabled, that means another device is already using the MIDI connection to your TASCAM Model 12. Once all of that is correct, we scroll all the way down into Control. In here, we click Add. From the Control Surface Mode pull-down menu, we select McKee Universal Control Universal, and the input would be MIDI in 2, and the output would be MIDI out 2. Can leave everything as default, and we click OK. And we click OK. I have 10 tracks on REAPER, and let's find out. Yep, there we go. Right at the bottom, you can see how my faders now move. 1 and 2, that's 3 and 4, and again, they track as soon as they see the movement, and it's all correct. Now, if you want to control tracks 9 and 10, we just click the track next option, and now we can control 9 and 10, and so on. So it goes into banks of 8. So these are 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. I can go back. Now I can control back again 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Again, as I mentioned, the best way is to write the automation in as you are mixing. And once the automation writing is complete, then you can put into read automation mode, and changing of the faders wouldn't matter. You can go back into standard mixer mode, and your faders in REAPER will move as you had set it. Again, the same problem with the panning. Let's say on 4, you can see right at the bottom here, I know it's small, we can see how the panning moves. And if I use the mouse to move the panning, again, it's out of sync. Now I can control it, but it's out of sync. So again, I go to all the way to the extreme. Now it's back into sync. And that's it for today's video. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, make sure you give me the thumbs up. If these kind of videos are helpful to you, feel free to subscribe to my channel. As always, thanks for watching and have a great time making music, and I'll catch you in the next video.